Hey everyone, Tankenstein here, and in this video I've got your first overview and gameplay for the A-7K. This is a currently Rank 7 battle rating 11.0 strike aircraft for the American Air Tech Tree that is an event vehicle, so a reward vehicle for the Repair Factory crafting event that, at least as of the recording of this video, is just about to start. That being said, this is pretty much about the same as the A-7D except general upgrade, so it does have the same engine. It's got the TF41A1. The A7E has the TF41A2, so slightly different in that regard. But, in general, this is about the same, but this does have that two-seater, as you can see, pilot setup here, which is really nice. Now, that being said, this has some interesting features insofar as its modifications are concerned. Also, the bicolor camouflage on this really nice. So that said, let's look at these modifications. So as you can see, first and foremost, it has AIM-9Ls. You can only carry 2 of those, but this is the first A7 to be equipped with AIM-7Ls, or AIM-9Ls rather, but you will need to unlock those. AIM-9Js seem to be the standard, but if nothing else, AIM-9Js are at least somewhat decent. Now, it's a bit worrying at 11.0 BR. You will be facing a lot of really difficult opponents, so you really have to worry about that. Thankfully, of course, it does have 120 countermeasures, which is very nice. Now, aside from that, this is pretty standard insofar as an A7 is concerned. It's got a lot of dumb bombs, so on and so forth. Has some guided bombs, has the GBU-8 2,000-pound TV guided bombs, which are really nice. Also, obviously, a bunch of incendiary bombs. But this also has the Lana FLIR navigation pod. Now, this is different than the A7D in that regard, although the A7E does have this. Now, the A7D does have AGM-65s, but they are the A variant, and this can carry up to 6 AGM-65Bs. So in general, this seems to be about the best of the best when it comes to A7s, but of course, they are still subsonic. They are real dogs at this BR. The sad thing is that in real life, these are really effective fighters in their role and are absolutely nasty when it comes to CAS. But in War Thunder, especially in Air RB, you have to fight a lot of planes that just was not designed to fight, which is kind of why I wish that they had the YA7F, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was, which was the supersonic variant of this. I really wish that Gaijin added this to War Thunder. It could only go Mach 1.2, but it did have an afterburner. It was a bit more focused on interdiction, which would have been cool. Now, that said, let's get into a test drive, see what we could do. I mean, there's somewhat limited options here insofar as what I have, but I will try to make the most of it. As said, let's get into it. So this is it taking off from a runway, which is kind of cool. Now, this is the Air National Guard variant of it. It's a 2-seat trainer version. So if you guys didn't know, the U.S. Air National Guard, various Air National Guards throughout the U.S., did have a lot of A7s in use. I mean, these were heavily used by them, maybe because they were hand-me-down planes, I'm not sure, but they were heavily used. And I'll show you exactly what the bombs look like in just a second. First, I want to show you the functionality of the Lana FLIR plot. So, as you can see here, I mean, it's pretty decent. I mean, that thing lights up like no one's business. But it's got a good range of motion. I mean, it's just pretty darn nice. But it does, of course, take up an entire spot underneath. But it does have really nice thermals. Let's just go in for a real quick kill on this SPAA. Of course, I'm not going to be able to drop a bomb on them. But let's see what we can do with this rotary cannon. Which, by the way, rotary cannons were first designed by the Germans. They were, what was it, like a Mauser rotary cannon? If you guys know, let me know. But the, at least unladen, largely unladen performance of this thing is pretty decent. I cannot complain all too much. I mean, it's pretty snappy, but, you know, otherwise it's pretty much the same as a regular A7. So that said, let's get into slapping on some bombs on this thing and see how it goes. Now, of course, here we have the A7K with its 24 250-pound loadout, 250-pound bomb loadout, and let's see what it can do. But this does have, of course, ballistic computers for both bombs and rockets. And I'll try to show you this in just a second, and I'll also show you guys exactly what AGM-65s can do. Of course, I do not have access to it with this vehicle, but I do have AGM-65Bs with other vehicles, so I'll try to show you there. But before I even do that, do I think that this is going to be any good? Well, at 11.0 BR, probably not. Air RB, almost definitely not. I mean, like, look at the Tornado, and this is going to be worse, you know? it just doesn't really have much going for it, unfortunately. It's going to get curb stomped at that BR. As much as I hate to say, I'm about to get destroyed here by my own bombs. But it's going to get curb stomped at that BR. And it really sucks. You know, I hate to say it, but when it comes to strike fighters, and the European Canadian actually made a pretty good point, but, you know, he, along with other people, have been saying this for a long time, and Gaijin has actually rebuffed this, or rebuked it recently. But when it comes to separate BRs for ground and air battles, the A7 is one of those vehicles that needs it. I could see this being 11.0 BR for ground battles, sure, but for air battles, what makes this thing much better than an A10? You know, what makes this thing much better than an SU-25K? Not much, if anything. And it fits in that BR bracket largely because it doesn't really have much ability to do any sort of aerial, you know, it doesn't have much performance. So that said, let's go show off the AGM-65s on another plane. But again, they will function the same exact way as they would on this once you unlock them with the A-7K. So I bet you guys never thought that you'd be seeing this in F5E in a video about the A-7K, but it makes some level of sense again because we don't currently have the AGM-65Bs available for the A-7K, even though they will be available for the A-7K once that actually comes out as a vehicle. So I am showing you the capabilities of them here with the F5E. So I'm just going to launch there and also launch on, well, let's see. Can I get a lock on this tank? Maybe, maybe not. And these are TV guided, I believe. Very, very powerful vehicles. But again, just to kind of go over, look at that, 3 hits, 3 kills. Just to kind of go over, do I feel like this is going to, like the A7K is going to be a good vehicle? I like the addition of the AIM-7 or the AIM-9Ls, but I mean, in ARB at least, like the A7D and the E should probably see a BR decrease. You know, they can't compete. They're just too big, heavy, and slow. And, you know, this one should probably be at 10.7 BR, if that, you know, in ARB. So we'll have to wait and see what happens, but I think it'll be a good aircraft, especially when it comes to CAS. I just don't really think that's going to have, you know, everything that it should have when it comes to ARB. So I think it's a good addition. It's a really, really good looking plane. I love that double pilot design, but otherwise, it's a bit lackluster. So that said, thanks so much for watching. If you guys want, check out my QN506 video. I've already posted it. Either way, thanks again. I'll see you all on the other side. Take care, everyone.